Hey guys, it's Ryan from Hesed here. It is Monday, April 6th. I'm going to walk you through what our current protocols are relative to flagging and identifying individuals for possible COVID testing. And I'm going to do this for two reasons. One, we've got volunteers and donors who are curious and they're asking. And two, we've got shelters around the country asking us what our protocols are so that they can adopt them as their protocols. They know that we had a very large TB outbreak 10 years ago and that we're much more used to and ahead of the curve on contagion control. So I want to walk you through our 6-part strategy as it stands right now. That's where it is. And so let me walk you through it. It starts with everybody is in one of our shelters. So we've got 4 on-site residential programs: our family shelter, our pad shelter, that's our normal shelter, our warehouse shelter, that's the one that we set up temporarily to get some social distancing during the COVID crisis, and then the harbor, which is our on-site apartments. So everybody starts there. And then they can move into step 1 of the screening process in 2 different ways. One is they can self-identify and let us know, hey, I'm coughing, this doesn't feel right, or I think I got a temperature, or something just isn't right. Hey, help. That's step 1. Or they get flagged because of our cough alert policy. Cough alert, this is something straight out of the playbook from our TB control back 10 years ago, is the idea that all of our staff has been told, please, identify people who are coughing in an excessive amount, where it just doesn't feel normal. This is not like allergies, or this is not smoker's cough. This is something different. Flag those individuals. A, let your supervisor know, and B, we set up a special email address for this. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So that's step 1. Either cough alert or self-identify, they get flagged. If that happens, they move into step 2, which is we take their temperature. Now, originally, we tried to use the thermal ones that you hold up like a centimeter or half a centimeter from somebody's head and it takes their temperature, but everybody was coming back with temperatures of 94 degrees, which would indicate hypothermia, and since everybody doesn't have hypothermia, that wasn't going to work, and so we got rid of those, and then now we're using a fancy schmancy one that we got from Aunt Martha's, the medical clinic here. It's one of these really crazy ones with the guards that you can do it really quickly and just switch guards in between people. It's been really helpful. It has 3 settings, oral, rectal, and armpit, and I've only been able to figure out how one of those works, but apparently there's 3. So that's the second step. We're going to take their temperature. If it seems warranted, then we're going to move on to step 3, which definitely, if they get a high temperature and possibly other conditions, we're going to move them into step 3, which is they're going to see a doctor, Aunt Martha's. Aunt Martha's runs the medical clinic at Hesed House. Currently, they have 2 to 3 medical staff, nursing staff, on site during clinic hours, and then they have their doctor on telehealth, so he can be servicing multiple different clinics in multiple different areas simultaneously, and as well as it's keeping him safe, because if he goes down, we don't have access to a doctor. And so he's going to screen them and try to identify, does this person need a test, which is step 4. Fortunately, Aunt Martha's has been able to get their hands on some COVID tests. Not a lot, but enough, which has been good. So they can do them actually on site using the nursing staff. If the doctor thinks, you know what, I don't think this person needs a test, it just doesn't seem warranted, great. Then they're going to be shot back up into the programs that they were in before, whatever residential program they were in before. If the doctor thinks, ooh, no, I think this person needs a COVID test, well, great, okay, we're going to do the COVID test. That's step 4. That's going to automatically bump the person into step 5, which is temporary quarantine. The idea being that while you're waiting for the test results, which can take 1 or 2 or 3 days, while you're waiting for those test results, you don't want the person around everybody else just in case the test result's actually positive. Then, after we get the test results, 1 of 2 things happens. Either it's negative, in which case, okay, great. Put them back up into general population, or it's positive. If it's positive, the idea is then they have to go into long-term quarantine, which is going to be 14 days to make sure that they're away from everybody while they're infectious. We've not had anybody make it through to long-term quarantine. We've not had any positive tests. We do currently have a gentleman who's in temporary quarantine because the doctor said, you know what, this is a close call, and let's just not take a chance here. Let's just go ahead and take the test, and then we'll know for sure. And so we got him in temporary quarantine. But so far, the system's holding together really, really well, and we're really excited about just how well it's working in this kind of crazy scenario. Two last things I want to mention. This is particularly for shelters around the country that are looking for best practices. One is a daily task force meeting. Set a specific time in the day and just everybody meets at that time. Everybody who's on the task force meets at that time rather than trying to call meetings as you need them. This is moving so fast that literally every single day CDC is releasing new guidelines, HUD is releasing new guidelines, something else is coming out, something is changing in the shelter, and so we're doing daily task force meetings. As well as, I mentioned earlier, I alluded to that we've got the special email address. The idea here, we did this back during the TB outbreak, is you set up a special email address that auto forwards to any staff on the TB or COVID task force. And so your IT director sets it up where if the person emails this address, it automatically forwards to everybody it needs to know. That way you don't have the scenario of staff going, okay, do I need to include Neil and Jane and Bob and Sally and Jim, or do you don't have to think about it. You just automatically email this one address and it forwards to everybody that needs to know that. We did that back in TB. We're doing it in COVID. It is super, super helpful to make sure that everybody who needs to be on board with this gets every single communication. Okay, so that is our 6-part strategy. Moving on to stuff that's not quite so related to shelters around the country, I do have a request of everybody out there. Please let everybody know. Let your friends know. Let your family know. Please do not donate right now clothing, furniture, or toys. We want all that stuff. We just don't want it right now. Our staff is stretched incredibly thin right now, and we don't have the capacity to move it around, sort it, or anything else, or process it. So please hang on to that stuff. I know everybody is using this downtime to clean their closets, and you want to get rid of all those, the clothing. Please hang on to it. We don't have the ability to process it right now. Okay, what can you donate though? Ideally right now, the 3 best things are, number 1, prayers. Your prayers are working, keep them coming. Number 2, gift cards, particularly to big box stores and to grocery stores. And then number 3, donations. And donations is actually better than the gift cards, but because it's more flexible, you can spend it anywhere. And so if you want to donate financial resources, best way to do that is at hesedhouse.org. Only one S in Hesed. Thanks, guys. As I've said before, and I will continue to say until this is all done, we are going to get through this. We're going to get through this together, and we're going to get through this together by taking care of the most vulnerable. Because this community is amazing. You're awesome. Thank you.